Hi, this is Frid from the Joy of Syntax and English in Color. Someone watched my YouTube video about clause elements. Actually, quite a number of people did. In that video, I explained clause elements with the help of statements. Actually, I have several videos about clause elements. I have one where I simply explain clause elements, the ones you see listed here on this slide. Then I have one where I explain clause elements and clause patterns. Then I have one where I compare terminologies that are used by different schools of grammar and linguistics. And then I analyze a variety of sentences. But in most of these videos, I use sentences in statement form. But of course, you can analyze questions as well. And I was asked to analyze 10 questions. They were sent to me tonight. Someone is preparing for an exam. And so I promised to make a little video about this. And here we go. The first question was, what does she weigh? Now, I always suggest turning questions into statements, analyzing the statements, and then it'll be easy to see what clause elements, what the clause element, the question part of the question covers. So we have, she weighs 130 pounds. Now in the sentence, she weighs 130 pounds, weigh is a sort of link verb. So what follows the link verb is always a predicate complement, which is sometimes called a complement to the subject and sometimes called a subject predicative. But I usually use the classical nomenclature. So it's a predicate complement. And in my books, predicate complements and subjects to the complements to the subject, etc., are orange. So she weighs 130 pounds. She's the subject. Weighs is the verb. 130 pounds is the predicate complement. Now, when I ask about this, how much does she weigh or what does she weigh, then I'm actually asking for this. So I will simply turn this into a question and I will see that the what asks for the predicate complement. So it is actually the predicate complement in question form. I hope that makes sense. And if you're wondering why the link verb is not to be and why we are asking with the help of to do, well, remember that when we use regular main verbs in the simple present and if we use regular main verbs and we have to ask questions in the simple present and the simple past, then we need the help of to do. If you don't know that and you have questions about that, ask me in the comments. I can make a video about that. It's a very simple recipe that you can follow and then you will remember it forever. But anyway, we're not going to worry about this right now. So what does she weigh? What is your predicate complement? Does weigh is the verb phrase and she is the subject. Who are you looking at? Here we have two analysis options. We have two ways of seeing the sentence. Let's look at the statement. You're looking at Tom, aren't you? Would be the statement. We won't worry about the question tag. That's also the topic for another video if you want. You're looking at Tom would be a statement. He's looking at Tom. She's looking at Tom. I am looking at Tom would be statements. Are looking is the progressive tense, the present progressive tense. Use the subject. Are looking is the present progressive. And at Tom is a prepositional phrase functioning as adverbial. However, we could consider the preposition at as part of the phrasal verb to look at. And in that case, we would then consider Tom the object. So either we see look as the verb and at Tom as the prepositional phrase which functions as adverbial, or we say look at or looking at is the phrasal verb and then Tom is the object. Look itself is an intransitive verb. But if you watch this one video that I made where I explain clause patterns, you will see that there are a number of intransitive verbs that can take on adverb particles or prepositions, and then they can actually be turned into transitive verbs with the help of those particles. So in this case, we have the preposition at that can turn the verb to look into a phrasal verb. And yeah, there are two ways of seeing that. So I gave you the two parsing options. Both are correct. What time will they leave the house? We could also ask, at what time will they leave the house, or when will they leave the house? The statement form is, they will leave the house at 8 o'clock. They is the subject, will leave is the verb in the will future tense. The house is the object, and at 8 p.m. is a prepositional phrase functioning as adverbial. So the clause element is, it's an adverbial. And in what time will they leave the house? I'm asking for the information of time, the adverbial information of time. And so it's, what time is the adverbial in question form. Who drank my coffee? Tom drank my coffee. That's the statement. So the question, who drank my coffee, is an information question, a WH question, asking for the subject. Now, when we are asking for the subject, the question looks a little bit different than when we're asking for any other clause element. A yes/no question would be, by the way, did you drink my coffee? Did he drink my coffee? Did Tom drink my coffee? But when I want to ask for information and I want to use a question word for that reason, I always need to put the question word in initial position. And in a regular, let me write this down here. A yes/no question version would be yes/no question. Did Tom drink my coffee? In a regular yes/no question, I invert the auxiliary and the subject. If I don't have an auxiliary because I'm dealing with the simple present and the simple past, then I borrow to do. So do is my auxiliary helping me to form a question in the simple past, and then I have my subject, and then the main verb, and then my object. When I'm asking for the subject, I'm turning the subject, Tom, into a question word, who, and then I'm putting who in front of everything else. It's placed in initial position. And then I have my I have my verb, and because I can't have my subject after the verb, this thing with inversion sort of becomes superfluous. And so I simply drop the auxiliary. And that's why in questions, information questions, where I ask for the subject, we don't have to do in the simple present and the simple past. This sounds more complicated than it is. It's the topic for another video. Right now we're dealing with how to analyze or how to parse questions and how to parse and identify the clause element that the question word belongs to, or is the type of clause element that the question word is, right? So I won't deal with regular questions right now. So who drank my coffee? Who is the subject? In this question, I'm asking for the subject of the sentence. Whose turn is it? The statement form is, it is my turn. It is an empty subject or a situation subject. is the link verb, and my turn is the predicate complement, or the complement to the subject, or the subject predicative, or whatever you want to call it. My is the possessive adjective. And when I want to ask about this here, this circumstance, I turn my possessive adjective into a question word. It's sort of the interrogatory or interrogative adjective. Whose? Whose turn is it? It is my turn. So the whole thing, the adjective whose, which is a question word, plus the noun turn, this noun phrase is the complement to the subject, or the predicate complement. When are you going to go to Turkey? Now, in the original question, there was a mistake. When I ask about the future, I need to use either the will future or the going to future in English. In German, you don't have to do it. Obviously, in some other countries, languages, you don't have to do it either. But in English, you have to use the will future or the going to future. You use the simple present for things that are always true. So the thing, somebody is going to go to Turkey here, and so we can't use the simple present. Unless you go to Turkey every week. So you can ask, which day of the week do you always go to Turkey, or something like that. But here we are thinking about a particular instance. So when are you going to go to Turkey? You are going to go to Turkey on Saturday would be a statement. To Turkey is an adverbial of place, and on Saturday is an adverbial of time. And when you want to ask about time, you say when. So when is the question word in the question, and it's the adverbial. When are you going to go to Turkey? This sentence happens to have two adverbials. One adverbial of place, or actually direction, a destination, I'm sorry, and one of time. How many books do you want? Now, you want 10 books for your birthday, right? Would be a statement with a confirmation question tag at the end. So he wants 10 books for his birthday. I want 10 books for my birthday. You want 10 books for your birthday, right? That's the statement form. And then when we have the question, we are actually asking about the object. So I want something. What do I want? I want 10 books. Now I am asking for the number of books. So I'm turning 10 into how many? That's the question to ask for when I want to ask for the number of books. How many books do I want? The whole thing, how many books? That's the object of the sentence. Many is an adjective, and how many is then a way to ask about the number. In which direction was he going? The statement version is he was going in a particular direction, or he was going in that direction. You can point. And so in which direction was he going is a question asking for the adverbial of destination. They came all the way from where? Now that's not a regular question. This is a sort of question type that we use when we are surprised, or we want to express our surprise about some information. Like he's 60 years old. He comes from where? So you can either you can ask that when you are hard of hearing or when you can't believe your ears or whatever. So this is basically a question that has the syntax of a statement, and it's marked as a question with the help of the question mark or the intonation, and by turning the destination into a question verb. So the regular question would be, where did he come from? And this type of question is then turned into what we see here. Which key opens the door? The statement is, this key opens the door. This is deictic adjective here. It can be a pronoun, but here it's an adjective, a limiting adjective, with a type of adjective that is in Oxford's dictionary sometimes called always called a determiner, but traditionally it's called an adjective. And when I want to ask about this, I turn it into a question word, which is which. Which key opens the door? I'm asking for the subject again. Okay, and those were all the sentences that were sent to me. I hope this helps all of you. And if you have questions, pop them in the description box below. And I will see you another day when I'm not as tired as I am now. Have a lovely evening or day or whatever it is when you are watching this video. And excuse my being a bit muddle-headed. I'm tired. Okay, talk to you in the next video. Bye-bye. Take good care. Hang on. Where do I turn it off? Here.